Hey, you know what time it is? It is time for Elevated Vibes Radio right here on IntellectualRadio.com. Now, for this topic, everybody, and I want y'all to do, all right, find everybody that you know that, how can I say, they love the conservatives, you know? Share this show with them. Get with them. Tell them to listen in and tell them to call the number. The number is 708-223-8953 to join the conversation. Now, alongside me, I got the boss man.
What up? What up? We're back.
Yes. And I am your boy Abdul Rashid, and we about to get into it. This is what we're going to do is fight the right. That's right. We about to put up a fight against all of the conservatives. That's right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for a very long time, we, the people, have been engaged in an idealistic war with those who love to use any form of suppression and oppression, whether subtle or blatant, to have their way amongst the masses. Now, since 2016, those on that far conservative right, their actions have went from that blatant, as I spoke about, to utterly ridiculous. Now, today we're going to talk about everything from the overturning of Roe versus Wade, the handling of the response to the tragedy in Uvalde, and everybody, the true feelings of Representative Mary Miller right here in Illinois.
Downstate. Downstate.
Oh yeah. Let's get into it, brother. Who do you want to do a little back and forth with first?
Well, first of all, let's start with earth-shattering revelations that came to fore yesterday during the congressional sessions.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday, we found out how unhinged the president was, and how blatant they came, or how close they came to usurping democracy. And the fact is that people participate in this, and they still want to vote for this guy again. So yesterday we found out that the president has tirades in which he throws plates and stuff off his tables and throws it up against the wall.
Well, you also got to remember, for almost everything that you've seen, that he was a spoiled brat. He's always been this spoiled brat.
I agree, but the fact is that it shouldn't be shocking that a president of the United States would conduct himself in such a manner. But there doesn't seem to be a basement to this president. And yesterday we found out that during January 6th insurrection, after he had stirred the crowd, this fool wanted to go to the Congress and was so intent on going to the Congress, he grabbed the steering wheel of the beast, the limousine that takes the president back and forth. And then when he was informed that he could not go to Congress, proceeded to attack his Secret Service, allegedly. Secret Service hasn't come forth and said anything. They said they will testify under oath, but this man was unhinged. He is not mentally fit. The fact is that we know some of his aides were talking about invoking the 26th Amendment, that he is not properly fit for office. And so none of that surprises me. And I know that's shocking. None of that surprises me.
Why is it shocking?
Because these fools want to vote for this man again and vote for his ilk and his progeny. That's what is shocking. But and I go back to this before you go. There are people, and this is why I say it's not the people. We are a country divided. And I'm not saying I want civil war or anything like that. But their form of democracy and how they envision the country is not democracy. Like, the saying that they're always grateful for saying, live and let live. It's live and let live according to how I think you should live, not according to my own mores and beliefs and things like that. They want to tell you how they want to live. And so that is what's shocking, is that in spite of all of this, and if the Justice Department does not come after Trump, if those in Georgia don't come after Trump, that this man could run and win again. That is what is scary. That is the shocking part. Nothing I heard, I was like, no, Trump didn't do that. No, he didn't do that. Everything you heard yesterday, given his past behavior, his actions, and everything we know about him, nothing was shocking. Like, you were just sitting there, you're like, okay, yeah, I believe that. And then for him to sit up there on whatever platform he's in, because he ain't on Twitter, and to deny it and
It's a
say,
lost little platform called True Social.
okay, so the fact is that, for him to lie and say, I don't even know who this woman is, we know that's a lie. Like, it's literally the president's office, chief of staff, deputy chief of staff. So you're trying to say that, like, your lie isn't even believable. But I don't understand this struggle, this chokehold that he has on the Republican Party. Is the Republican Party that we knew, or the Republican Party of Reagan, or let's not even do Reagan, because that's a bad one. Let's go to Eisenhower, conservative, but believed in social justice and the social uplift of people, but believed in small government. Those Republicans no longer exist. We have a party that is content with one person rule, that wants to dictate the mores of your life. Is only economically conservative when there's a Democrat in the office, not when Donald Trump is in office and Bush, and they ran up the deficit. Both presidents ran up the deficit.
Yes, they did.
Obama had to come in and lower the deficit, and Biden's trying to do that again.
Right.
But they're only deficit hawks or budget hawks when the president is a Democrat, not of their party. So let's have an honest conversation about who these people are. What was that famous line when the guy was with the Minnesota Vikings? The Minnesota Vikings. What was his name? He's like, "We are who they thought we are, or who we thought they are." Remember him? Dennis, what's his name? Dennis Green, the black coach.
Oh, okay, yeah, Dennis Green.
We are who we think they are. You know what I'm saying? They are who we think they are. And we're gonna jump into it. But your girl pretty much just came out and just said what she was gonna say and didn't have the hood to go with it.
Now, okay, but you know what? You know what though? I'm going to applaud her on the fact that you are 25 years old. All right.
Is she 20? Oh, you talking about the deputy?
Yeah, old girl. Are you talking about the other? Yeah. I'm gonna get on.
We're gonna get to her. Yeah, but the young
her.
lady who came out, the deputy chief of staff who testified. Yeah, she was 25.
She was 25 years old, and the fact that you said, "Okay, I am going to bring this truth out here," and really, none of them can actually stand against her, because she, from what I'm taking of everything, she's almost squeaky clean. So you don't have nothing on her to chop her down. You know how they would like to do. Say, "Oh, this person this person that. That's why they lying." Blah blah blah. They don't have it. Even Fox News couldn't really say much.
I mean, there's nothing to say. I mean, we have known from the get-go that everything that has happened was built on a lie. Kevin McCarthy could have broke the stranglehold that Trump had by coming out strong. See, that's the difference between politicians and leaders. We don't have leaders right now. Leaders do what is unpopular because they believe that they have a moral conscience to lift up the nation and move us closer to our humanity. When Theodore Roosevelt came out with Social Security, I think it was Roosevelt, one of the Roosevelts, talked about Social Security. When we talked about LBJ went against the Southern Democrats to pass the civil rights. Those are leaders. Like, I'm going to do what I think is morally right and morally conscious because I believe it moves us in the right direction. So LBJ had to break with the Southern Democrats to pass civil rights legislation, even though they were stark against it. Now we have people who are just in power for the purposes of craving power, and don't see politics as service. They see it as a means to an end of power. Politics is the commitment to peaceful resolution of conflicts. And what we have now is a party that is not committed to the peaceful resolution. They want to achieve power by any and all means and dictate how everyone else lives their lives when it suits them, you know?
Right. And now the living example of that is the lady that we were speaking about, Representative Mary Miller. And everybody, listen, all right. What is it? November
Fourth,
4th? Yes. Election day. Come on out there and vote. All right. I know it was a low turnout.
25% in the city, I think is what
Yes.
they said.
And okay, and partially I get it. A lot of times people just want to let the everybody get weeded out who it is, and then now they'll come out and do something. Now, all right, we need to come out and take people like her down. I'm gonna put it just like that, flat out. All right.
I don't know. Is there a Democrat running against her?
It probably is in that part of the state. In certain parts of the state of Illinois, and probably in many states, you got Republican country and you got Democratic stronghold. All right.
Mhm.
Now, where she is, it really is pretty much Republican country.
Mhm.
But everybody, we need to send her a message. Now, if you don't know, because there's also a second statement from this lady. It was ironically said on January 6th. Very ironic.
Mhm.
All right. Now, that first statement, now I'm going to talk about. She would
You talking about Mary Miller?
yes. She agreed with Hitler himself.
Yes. Yes.
She agreed with Hitler, saying that whoever has the youth has the future. That was his statement, and she agreed with it. Why did you have to reference him? Wonder why, huh? And also, let me remind y'all, hit us up on the line, 708-223-8953, or you can hit us up on Facebook Live. Now, the second statement, everybody, she was so happy for the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and she was thanking Agent Orange, as I like to call him.
Yep. At a rally on the same day or the day after?
It was the same day, I think. Yeah,
it was the same day. Yeah.
And she made the statement. Now she wants to say that it was a misspeak, saying that
she
it's
said,
a victory for white life.
Yeah, thank you, thank you for saving white lives, I believe is what she said.
Something of that sort.
Yeah,
yes.
She said thank you. She was introducing we who shall not be named, and bringing him to the stage and speaking of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And she wanted to say, thank you for saving white lives. So, and now of course the spin is that she misspoke.
Yes,
But
of course.
I don't know if she was drunk, but what's the old saying? A drunk mind speaks a sober heart, or a drunken heart speaks a sober mind.
Yes.
So I don't know, but I don't even think she had to be drunk. I think
no.
a racist speaks their mind,
Yes.
and things like that. So, and that's the whole problem. That's the problem with the party of the Republic. Like now you are so devolved from what you are and who you stood for that you do appear, to be racist. Like they said, what's the saying? All racists may not be Republicans, but all Republicans
are racist.
And that's not true. But
it's not true, but
it seems to be, a common thread through a lot of their part. Now,
here's the deal on that, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but here's the deal on that. Every Republican out there that one of your party members has a racial deficiency.
I mean, look at Marjorie. We got Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You call them out. You don't sit there and just let them do what they do.
But they do.
And turn a blind eye. You can't do that.
But that's what they've been
doing.
And
that's the problem. Well, I blame the Democratic Party as well. But still, you can't.
No, the Democrats have done something. They sidelined Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I can't remember the other guy who was from New York. They sidelined him. Like, they can't participate on committees as long as the Democrats are in charge of the House of Representatives.
Okay.
Because Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said some yin yang out the side of her mouth as well. So they have.
That means she woke up that day, right?
It's every day. Time, right? Yeah, but she doesn't have any committee assignments as long as the Democrats control the House. So, but this is what I get back to, Rich. And this is, I know you always say, it's the power of the people and things like that.
Correct.
But it is time for the left to take their righteous indignation and do something with it. You know, I call it what the right has done is they have weaponized their fringe. You know what I'm saying? They have weaponized the French. So there's always this overlooming threat that we don't concede something to them, that there will be some violence. And we witnessed that on January 6th. So we know for a fact that Miller, the Trump's chief of staff, was very cognizant of the danger that his president posed to Vice President Mike Pence.
Yes.
We know that they were aware that the crowd was yelling, "Hang Mike Pence." We know now that Trump didn't want to do anything. Matter of fact, he said, "I think the crowd might be right."
Correct.
So these are the people who don't care. They want power for the sake of just merely having power to dictate how you and I live our lives. So we're seeing it, with the Roe v. Wade overturn. We knew that was coming. Democrats knew, and when they had the chance, could have codified it when they controlled both the House and the Senate. But it was always this, wink, wink, nudge, nudge to, we don't have to codify because the courts will protect it. Well, now you see what happened. And the Republicans have been playing the long game. They have really been playing the long game, probably since the mid 80s.
Yeah, but
about
see,
getting these
right now,
judges in places and stuff like that.
and I was just about to say that because the judges are in place, they got their chest pumped out.
Yep.
And they doing what they want to do, while a lot of times you have a lot of Democrats and so forth just sitting back, and you cannot do that anymore. If you see that, it's just like you are in the fight, and that's why we brought this fight to right.
Mm-hmm.
You are in the fight, and somebody throws a punch at you. Guess what you're supposed to do?
Right, and we're not seeing it. Like first of all, the Democrats just saw this coming. Like when they heard about this case coming, there were things they could have done. We shouldn't. I feel like we always react instead of act on the other side. Whenever you're always playing defense, you're never playing offense. So we knew this was coming. We knew this was coming from the moment Amy Coney Barrett got on the court. And president could have pushed his people out. Man, don't get me wrong. He has a full legislative agenda. He's had to deal with this, come in, deal with COVID. He's had to deal with the recession. He's had to deal with Afghanistan. But you can fight more fights, multiple fights. That's the whole job. Like, so we knew this was coming, and they knew it was coming when Amy Coney Barrett took got onto the court. So we knew this was coming. So that should have been something like, what's the plan? What's the plan when the court they're gonna overturn Roe v. Wade? And you can't tell me that you didn't envision, not as this, with the court the way it is, that this was going to get overturned. Now, the Roe v. Wade, and I haven't read all of the decision, is disturbing only because it's the first time in history that the court has taken away a right. You think about Dred Scott, you think about, slaves not being a full person, Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal. I think the reversal of this case of Roe v. Wade, and I can't remember the name of the case, apologies, but the name of the case that was brought to overturn Roe v. Wade will go in the annals of history as one of the worst decisions ever decided. And Clarence Thomas has already hinted, of what his game plan is. They want to overturn gay rights. They want to overturn birth control. So I don't see how you stop there, except for the fact that he's on the court. They can overturn, interracial marriage. So, based on some of their decision making in the Supreme Court.
Okay. Now, since you spoke on Clarence Thomas, all right, and we've heard about the news and issues with his wife, all right. Now, stuff like that, with her joining the Stop the Steal and all of that, do you think that his judgment on this should not have been questioned?
Oh, look.
I mean, through there are 9 justices on the court.
Right.
All right. So the other 8 didn't want to, hey, we have to suppress you. We have hey, I'm sorry.
should he have recused himself from some of the
Of
stuff?
course he
Yeah,
should have, but we know he wasn't going to.
but
But shouldn't they made an action? Because you know where he's going with things.
okay. Here's my rational argument.
All right.
The rational argument is, let's say, myself and our producer in the studio are married.
Mm-hmm.
Just because she holds certain opinions doesn't mean I necessarily hold them as well. You know, yes, we're married. Yes, chances are we probably agree on a lot. Uh, yeah, but to say, should I be held accountable for her ideas? No, no. That's my rational argument.
Okay.
Okay, that's my rational argument.
Because as you put it with the marriage, you are laying with this person every night.
Right.
So it comes to a point that in some way your ideas are their ideas. In some way. It doesn't have to be exact. But
all I'm saying is, should I be held accountable for her ideas? Even though, see, no, that's not fair.
That's not fair.
That's
Okay,
not
I
fair.
get it,
That's not
but
fair. That's not
I
a
get it.
rational argument.
Come on. Keep it going.
And we don't know the nature of her interference. Like, was she a commentator or was she a participation? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to call somebody and say, hey, y'all need to do something, or hey, do this. You know what I'm saying? So it's not clear.
Okay.
That's the rational argument.
All right.
The emotional argument is, yeah, I think she exercises some influence on her husband. I mean, it's just the nature of any relationship.
Right.
That's just the nature of any given relationship.
Because you got to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I just can't see them being married, and having these different philosophical ideas and still being together. You know what I'm saying? Now, there are some things, me and my wife may agree on or disagree on. But, we tend to marry
come to
people,
a middle ground.
with people who share similar thoughts and things like that. Some of us. So do I think, he should recuse himself depending on her level of participation? Possibly. I reserve judgment on that. Shit, if this was, what was it, when Bush came to office, 2008, or 2006, when the first one came, and Gore versus Bush.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to remember the year.
Yeah, Gore versus Bush. And we see how she acted now. And this is the same court that said that, the voting has to stop. Knowing what we know now, no, we should have kept counting. Because Clarence was on the bench. And I'm sure his decision. You know what I'm saying? So it's insane. But yeah, I think he does deserve a closer look, or deserves a closer scrutiny. And I mean, here's the problem: we appoint the Supreme Court justices for life.
And I was about to touch on that.
And we need to start, taking a look at that. Like,
because should they be lifetime appointments?
Man, look, I support term limits. Now, look, we just had a discussion. I don't want to badmouth somebody, whatever, but a certain person ran, who was a certain age and has been in office since 1990 or something like that. So it's just kind of like, and that's part of the issue I have with the left too, is that we don't prepare the next generation. We run against them instead of uplifting them. We want to dine off, and it's like, no, dude, you gotta move out the way and make way for new ideas. And I get it, when you're a person of influence, it's hard to walk away from that. But in order to ensure legacy, you have to groom the next generation. What the famous line from that classical old time black movie, Black Panther.
Okay, because I was trying to see where you was going. But
Black
come on.
Panther, he says, a man who has not prepared his son for death has felt as a father.
Yes.
And what are we doing to prepare the next generation? And this was a perfect opportunity for someone to step to the side, and we're going to face this crisis again in 2024 because, our president will be 80 plus years old, you know what I'm saying? And, he's going to be going against a younger Republican, probably Ron DeSantis out of Florida, is a leading contender. Um, so yeah, these
But
are things we got to consider.
I'm gonna touch on a few things real quick.
Okay.
All right, now you're saying that Santa's a leading contender just in Florida, because I mean, I haven't heard nothing good about him anywhere else.
I mean, but I can see him coming out of the Republican
You can
Party.
see
The
him coming out
Republican,
of.
you,
Okay,
I can't think of her name. The lady out of South Dakota. It's this is going to be a race of the extremes on the Republicans. Like
okay.
who can out Trump Trump? That's where we are as a
But you know
and
he's gonna put his nose in that mess anyway.
first of all, he's probably going to run again.
Of
If our
course, and
Justice
that's what I
Department
mean.
doesn't do anything, if the people down in Georgia don't do anything, this man is going to run again.
Hmm.
So it's going to be who can out Trump Trump. You know, um, are people tired of Trump, or do we just like his politics? Now that's the question. Can you have Trump politics without Trump?
And then that's also what scares me because, all right, you got him up here doing him, acting a fool. All right. This is what you got. But you still have people who celebrate him. They, pretty much dance in the streets for him if they could.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Um, it scares me because, all right, I know this is America, but is America really that ignorant?
Yes.
And that's the scary part.
No, I
That
mean,
is that there is the scary part.
we talked about the dumbing down of America last week. Like,
Correct.
everything has to be reduced to a tweet. Everything has to fit into an Instagram. There is still, I think they said 50 some percent of all Republicans still believe that Donald Trump won the election.
Right.
And so when you're dealing with this mass lack of intelligence or whatever it is, and you still believe that, how do you break through to that? Like, and people want to say, oh, we have to reach out to the other side. And I'm like, no, they don't care. Like, and that's always been my gist.
Right.
They do not care. Like, they don't care about not being hypocrites. They don't care about speaking sideways out of their mouth. They just don't care. They want power for power's sake. And if you are not part of their program, then you're against them. And we know that they are emboldened by there was a time, everybody keeps talking about the left, the liberal left, and people listening to the liberal left. Again, I keep coming back to you. What is this? What on the left is equivalent to the far right crazies who get ballistic shields and wants to interrupt great gay parade parties and hide in the back of a U-Haul truck just so that they can interrupt a gay parade. Like, we don't have that on the left. I ain't
Exactly.
ain't nobody coming from New York to Iowa to protest the State Farm.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Nobody's coming from Chicago to South Dakota, to disrupt, the farmers. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
But they have taken it upon themselves, and we know for a fact the number one terror threat in the United States is domestic terrorism, i.e., white supremacists who believe that everybody else is inferior to them. We know this.
Yes.
And we saw it under Obama. We did nothing. We're sitting under Biden. We're doing nothing. The best we have gotten so far is an anti-lynching statute. We're not seeing it with the police, reform or any of that stuff. But that's where we are as a nation. We are who we thought they are.
Now, one more thing, and just off the hip on the touch, another thing going on with the Supreme Court. All right, they just overturned the suspension for a high school football coach that was in the state of Washington because he prayed in the middle of the field. Now, you know, nobody has a knock against prayer, nobody at all. All right, but the thing is, if we remember the mantra, the separation between
Church
church
and
and
state.
state. So now doing this, you're touching on that. You're kind of muddying the waters on that statement, on what it's supposed to be. How far do you think the Supreme Court will go with this? Do you think they will take that and try to push that where it's no more that separation?
I mean, that's the slippery slope that we're on. Now I'll tell you when it'll stop is when some satanic cult says, we want to come into the middle of the field with our pitchfork and start worshiping the devil. Now you can't pick and choose. Now you done chose this poison.
But now,
But if
if
I
I'm
want to,
correct, I can't remember what state it is in,
I,
but there is some type of satanic
hey,
thing that
if this
has
is,
been winning cases on that.
and the whole thing is that as a coach, you appear to be an agent of the school, and therefore students can feel compelled to participate in your prayer, even though it may go against their religious belief. What about the Jewish kid? What about, the kid that's Hindu? What about the kid that's Muslim? Not everybody subscribes to the tenements of Christianity. But if I'm a Muslim player on the football team and I don't want to take a knee, or if I bring out my rug, my sacred prayer rug, and face to the east, during practice,
They'll have an issue with it.
do
That's
you have
guaranteed.
an issue
That's
with
a
it?
guarantee.
Do you have an issue with it? What happened if I have to do it? Do you remember there was a guy on the Denver Nuggets, Abdul Rauf.
Yeah.
Fantastic basketball player.
Formerly known as Chris Jackson.
Chris Jackson. How much flack and hell that dude caught when he stood there, with his hands up in prayer.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? His hands in prayer. So we are tolerant as long as it's Christianity, but when it's something else, we have an issue. So this guy's taking prayer and everybody's with him. But when my man was on San Francisco and took a knee to say Black Lives Matter,
they had an issue with that.
Got an issue with that. So how are we picking and choosing what the knee is? What about that guy that was a football player, that was a quarterback, and he would pray after touch. Everybody all for him. Same action.
Tim
Tebow. Thank you. Everybody all for it. Tim Tebow. But Colin Kaepernick take a knee and to protest. Same action. You if you put Tebow and Kaepernick next to each other, same knee.
And Cap is a better quarterback. But go ahead.
Hey, go ahead. Well, we know that. But but it's the same knee, but different reasons for the knee. Now we got a problem. So now, like I said, if I want to come onto the football field with my pitchfork after the game and say, we worship and give thanks to Beelzebub, the fallen son of God, and thank you for all of his glorious manifestations, I bet you now it's going to be a problem. We already got problems with kids going to libraries to be read by men in drag. So, yes. So what's next? And so the whole thing is like, a ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's what was happening. It was a separation of church and state, but now you've opened the floodgates. So we'll see.
All right. Now,
and don't forget, this is the same Supreme Court that just told New York that they had to get rid of their gun laws.
Yes, they did.
So, and I'm kind of okay with it. I'm okay with it, but we'll come back to that.
Oh yeah, because we're gonna touch on a few things with the gun laws issue and so forth. Okay. All right, but let's start a little bit on this Uvalde thing. All right. Now, personally, I feel that the incident commander that was there should be charged with something. Negligence. I can't even get it out right. But he should get some charges against him because he is the cause for many of those children passing away.
I don't know if he's criminally negligent, maybe civilly. I don't know if police commanders like dereliction of duty. Like we think of dereliction of duty as something like that. That's a military thing. I'm not aware or don't know if there's a civilian side charge, but at the same time, yeah, he should no longer be a chief of police.
But see, something should be brought against him on the fact that you had, 19 officers out there,
15 officers in the school with M4s,
with shields and everything else.
Shields. Well, and I still don't know where we are. They said there was a communication issue. So I don't know where we are. But if he ordered his people to stand down and all of that, I hate to say, I don't know if there's a criminal charge that can be brought against him.
But see, you are more for gun rights than I am. All right. Now, I'm sorry, but the state of Texas, who, they love their guns,
Love him.
they love them. Now, bringing out guns like this, well, you could probably buy them from a grocery store, okay? That you're going to have these type of issues. So some of these laws that's supposed to be out here supposed to stop or curb the criminal from doing things such as this. All right. Now, it just shown and proven that you all did not want to come in against one man. And you definitely outgunned him.
I mean, but this is why that theory of a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun is gone, because this is the second or third time where we've had police officers in the school.
Correct.
And nothing has happened. Now, in this case, I literally just don't understand how you have 10 to 15 officers in the school and no one with a ballistic shield
in the
hallway, and you're hearing gunshots and you do nothing.
And you're waiting for a key
that you didn't need.
You didn't need. Even if the door was not, because it was unlocked. If the door was not, or if it was locked, I'm sorry.
Look,
I'm sorry. You hearing shots? You put something through that door, knock that door down, and you take out the shoe.
I mean, we see it in the movies all the time. They take the shotgun, they blow the hinges off the door.
There you go.
Blow the knob off the door, and they go in. You know what I'm saying? You got a ballistic shield. But here's the fact: did no one try the doorknob? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how is it 10, 15? And don't get me wrong.
You're talking about you didn't know, but these children are calling saying that there's children here dying.
You getting a call from the girl inside the classroom.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, hats out to the women. You know how women tell the guy to go get something out the thing. He said he don't see it where you say it was. So, it was 15 guys standing in the hallway. I'm sure if there was a woman police officer there, she would when they tried to knock. But, it's 15 dudes. So they were already behind the 8-ball right there, because one dude was like, I'm sure no one sat around and said, hey, you tried the door yet? I hate to say that, but that's how we guys are. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm sure if it was a female police officer there on the scene, she would when they tried the door now. But the dudes just saw one dude standing around. And, you just sitting there. It's like, man, like, yo, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? I don't know. We locked. And no one ever asked to say the question, well, how you know the door locked? The door closed. Did you try the doorknob? You know how it is with your wife when you go and you say, babe. She said, babe, it's on the third shelf. It's right there in the back. You'll see it. Okay.
Right now, she's probably laughing.
And you go and you look, and it's not on the third shelf. She was like, well, did you look one shelf down? No, you didn't tell me to look one shelf down. You said it was on the third shelf in the back.
Right.
I followed your directions to the letter. I didn't see it down there. And they get pissed at you, but just like, I don't understand why you pissed. Like, you told me to look on the third shelf in the back on the left-hand side. That was on the fourth shelf on the right-hand side. I didn't look there. So so already you got 15 dudes in the hallway with a closed door. And so I'm sure someone stood around and said, man, door locked. And no one ever asked us, really, how you know? No, none of them thought to ask that. So that's number one. All right, so let's get that out the way. But still, even if that's given a fact, all right, we know that.
All right.
Y'all got AR-15s. You definitely got shotguns. I don't understand how you don't go in and breach. Like, especially if there's a communication issue. Like, yo, somebody down here is in charge. There had to be a corporal, a sergeant, someone on the scene who said, I'm going to take control of this, because I guarantee you this. If it was one of them that was getting shot, they would have came in.
Yeah.
They would have came in.
Yeah.
But it's children, and y'all stood in the hallway. And I hate to say it, and nobody knows what they'll do. Nobody knows.
That's true.
Nobody knows.
When that situation is in front of your face, that's a whole nother story.
We all think we want to be Billy Bad.
What?
Yeah. At that time, every dude in here has envisioned how they would react in that scene. However,
Yes.
they volunteer for this. They get paid.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's different than you or I being confronted with it and we freeze. Like, there's the fight or fright, and some people fight, some people fright. That's it. You have no control of that. But y'all volunteer for this. Y'all have trained for this. You know that I know when there's an active shooter that the rule calls for you to penetrate and to try to take out the active shooter, because as long as he's engaging with us, at least I have body armor and I can return fire.
These children don't have a chance.
They didn't have a chance. The fact is that some of them had to be identified by dental records.
Yes.
The fact is that this girl is calling from the room and telling you, and you hearing this girl say, "Please send the police." What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, that to me is just asinine. The fact is that you arrested a mother who was trying to run into the school and get her children out, and then once they took the cuffs off of her, she broke and went into the school. And the fact is they didn't chase her.
Right.
That tells you something right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if it was really about securing the scene, you would have chased her down. But she crossed the zone of danger and went in and got her 2 kids out.
Yes.
I heard that there was a story that there was a police officer whose kids was in the room, and they arrested him and took his weapon. How much of a
You talking about the one that came from the barbershop? I think he came from the barbershop.
He was a police officer.
Right.
He was going in. He was like, "I'm going in."
Right.
And his son was killed. But you arrested this dude and took away his weapon. What is going on? Like, I just don't understand that. And like I said, none of us know how we will react. I pray to my God. I pray to the universe that if that was my child in that situation, I would have the courage to act like that mother, whether I was armed or not.
Same here. Same here.
If my child is in the line of danger, let the harm come to me first.
Right.
It should almost be instinctive. You know what I'm saying? But your fact is that y'all had trained for this.
Right.
Y'all had weapons. We see the ballistic shield. And none of y'all doubt to say, "Oh, let's turn this knob and see if we can go in." The fact is they didn't want to turn the knob. They were scared. They were hard. They're horrified. And that's the problem, is that, and I go back to January 6th. I'm surprised it wasn't more of a bloodbath. You have weapons. I see officers getting dragged, punched, kicked, stabbed. I mean, the woman who testified said she got stabbed in the eye. And I'm like, how did y'all not fire your weapons?
Yeah.
I mean, y'all don't seem to have a problem shooting black unarmed motorists.
Right.
Consistently.
Right.
But yet when...
Or throw them in the back of the van with no seatbelt. That's a whole other story.
I mean, we know the stories. Or sitting down on a man's neck.
Yes.
To the point where he can't breathe. Or guy walking home who is apparently acting strange, at 8 seconds after you come up on him, you're putting hands on him and he's asking you what he's doing, and to the point where you subdue him and have to inject ketamine into his body. You don't have problems doing that. But when there's a true threat, and I'm not trying to throw dispersions on all
they're
of
talking about hanging the vice president of the United States.
Right. That should have been grounds right there to clear the Capitol.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it didn't happen. It is mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling is that this was allowed to happen. And this, I believe, the second worst tragedy. I think not Columbine, the other one, Sandy Hook, is still the worst one. But the fact is that we know these names.
Yes.
That's the sad part.
Right.
And it comes down to the stranglehold that NRA has on a certain party.
Right. Now that you said NRA, and I'm glad you did.
And I'm talking about the National Rifle Association.
Yes.
There's another NRA that I won't mention, but yeah, the National Rifle Association.
Should they be sanctioned? Because to me, they look like a bunch of I'm gonna say it, pimps. All right.
I mean, what you gonna sanction? I mean,
okay, they collect money, they make money. You can stop this money flow from coming in.
Well, they tried. They moved to Texas. Remember, like they moved.
Okay,
to
but see, here's the thing:
a friendlier AG state.
Here's the thing, though. Now, all right, we are okay. The Democrats are supposed to be running the country. You run the country. This man runs a state. It's time to say, hey, I'm about to check you and what you about. We gonna do what we gonna do.
Look, the problem is we have tyranny of the minority. You have a president who was able to push 3 Supreme Court justices on the court, and he lost by 3 million votes. He lost and people forget he lost the popular vote against Hillary.
Yes.
So literally, the minority has determined who has been the president and who gets to sit on the bench. Because
Right.
you got to remember, Hillary shellacked him
Yes.
with the popular vote.
Yes.
Shellacked.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, but because we have this antiquated system based on slavery, and we're going to come back to it because it all comes back to it. This antiquated system based on slavery, he was able to take the presidency. And no other country that's a democracy does this type of system exist.
Right. And see
so
that system, that electoral college, it needed to, and it was proven it needed to be demolished back in 2000 when it was supposed to have been Al Gore.
correct. So
But yet
it's
we
still here.
keep
This
this.
vested.
And one of the main things is that, as you had just said, people forget. It's time to stop forgetting. All right. It's plain and simple. It's time to stop forgetting. You know what goes on. A lot of times people get sick of it, they get tired of it, they want to go watch their favorite TV show. I get that to a point.
Well, they say I did what I was supposed to do, and they still won,
Right.
and that's disheartening, you know. And so, you know,
But see, all these things are placed out there like that electoral college.
but until here's the thing, until the Democrats are willing to get rid of the filibuster,
I was just about to say
until they are willing to get rid of the filibuster, and I get it, is a double-edged sword, but they don't care. And we know for a fact Congress is going to switch every, like when we got rid of the filibuster for judges, and then the Republicans ran ham hock on appointing all of these Republican judges. They appointed judges who the American Bar Association, National Bar Association didn't even find fit. We have judges who have never conducted a trial, but they subscribe to, and we politicize the judicial branch. The judicial branch was never supposed to be politicized, like to the extent that it was, you know. But they have, and they've been playing that long game. We see the long game with the gerrymandering, where you literally carve up your state so that you only have one black super district and everybody around them is a red district, So we see that, and that's the long game, and we will be spending the rest of our lives and part of our children's lives, undoing what they have done. And until we are willing to fight, there's a difference between fighting to win and playing not to lose. And the Democrats play not to lose. And that's why you can't get rid of gerrymandering. That's why you can't get rid of the filibuster, because you got Cinema and Manchin who'll never get rid of it. Guess what? They need to go.
yes.
You gotta start getting rid of them and
Right.
people like them who are dedicated to the rights in this country.
Right. And then another thing, we have to start touching on these recall laws because excuse me, because a lot of times and we've talked about this before, where certain states does not have a recall for a senator or a representative, which I'm sorry, it should be everywhere. Because you shouldn't have to wait the 4 years to 6 years or whatever it is.
I want to be careful with that, because we almost had that in California with the governor there, where he was recalled because sometimes I don't like the recall, only because sometimes leaders, not politicians, leaders have to make unpopular decisions because they believe it's in the best interest of the people. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, but we know who the successful ones are. First person that comes to mind is Abraham Lincoln. You know, he did what he thought was right because it was good for the country. Now he always says, if I can save the Union by freeing no slaves, I would, and if I could save the Union by freeing all the slaves, I would. But he had to make a hard decision. LBJ with the passage of the Civil Rights. Those were hard decisions, but they enhanced the nation as a whole. The passage of Social Security. People think, take it for advantage, but the Republicans were against Social Security,
Yes.
at one time. Medicare, all of these things that we
They
take care
still
of.
against Medicare.
Still against, want to privatize Medicare, want to privatize Social Security, and things like that. So leaders have to do sometimes what is unpopular and risk their reputation and the loss of their job because, I hate to say it, even Obama with the passage of the Affordable Care Act, you know, we took a shellacking that next election because the Democrats lost control of the House. As his words were, shellacking.
Yeah.
But it was the proper thing to do. If you're going to spend your political capital, spend it and make sure it's worth it. And that's how we got the Affordable Care Act. And you see, they spent the next 8 years trying to get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? And so now the Affordable Care Act is part of our law. But and our children and their children will never know what it was not to not have, private care or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but in this country, like I said, Biden, even though like 56% of people want something or whatever, they just won't bite. Like there's like, oh, this could come back to bite us. Yeah, it will, and it will happen, but you got to do it.
But like you said, if you know that hit is coming, well then come on and take that
The
hit.
hit, right?
You know,
Play, swing for the fences.
But do what's right. I mean, because everybody knows a right and a wrong. All right, and just because you want that vote, when you know whatever act that's about to happen, whatever is bull knackle.
Yeah, right.
You know, you have to turn around and say no.
We're gonna have to hurry up and finish these congressional hearings because chances are Republicans are gonna take control of the House, and may be able to take control of the Senate. You know what I'm saying? So then where do we go? And now we know Biden's agenda is done. So past these things, like I said, I'm not feeling particularly exuberant about anything the Democrats have passed. It's like the one thing we put you in there for was police reform, and the not the Build Better Act, but the other thing that he had that failed, because Manchin and Sinema wouldn't vote for it.
Right.
All right, but those are things that you can take to your base. They always feed their base.
Right.
Democrats refuse to feed their base. They try to play that central game, and sometimes that don't get you nowhere.
And that's what makes me touch on the thing of recalls and so forth, because Manchin and Sinema wants to do this. Well, then you know what? I know, especially in Joe Manchin state, right? Especially there was a lot of people that needed some of these acts.
Oh, without question.
Of them.
But
the people should have the power to say, all right, you screwed up, bro.
I don't know about Manchin, but definitely Sinema. Sinema did a switcheroo on those people.
Like, yeah.
She really just did a complete switcheroo to the point where, Republicans are courting her to switch parties. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure, when it comes time for her, she will not be reelected. I think Joe Sinema will, but you got to get a couple of more Democrats in there so that his vote doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to make him irrelevant because right now he has too much of a stranglehold on the party, and his will does not reflect the will of the majority of the United States. Now I get it; he's supposed to represent the people of West Virginia, but like you said, his people, the people of West Virginia, would have benefited from some of the most programs. And you gotta remember, it's mostly the blue states that support the red states.
True.
Nothing ain't coming out of Mississippi, nothing coming out of Kentucky.
Very true.
I mean, you got maybe Texas and Florida who contribute, but everybody else is taken, so, ain't nothing coming out of South Dakota. So, and that's the problem. It's this tyranny of the minority. And until we are willing to go to the sheets and go to the maps, we will continue to have these problems and we will continue to have these discussions. Now, everybody wants to say, AOC doesn't represent the party. Yeah, that may be true, but she has some good ideas, and the good ideas, deserve compromise. But when you're already starting, to the far right and trying to bring it up, that's why you get these incremental changes, like the gun law, like this gun law that they just passed. Still, to me, doesn't make sense how a 18-year-old, how a 18-year-old can purchase an AR-15 but can't purchase a pistol. What?
It's weak, and even to touch on the AR-15s, and I don't see why, because it's the weapon of choice for many of these school shooters or whatever. That gun alone should be suspended.
It's good for hunting.
What are you hunting? The army?
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Why I mean, and it could be done. They suspended different,
Well,
you
the
know,
AR-15 prior to the reverse of the gun assault ban
yes.
was a banned weapon. You know what I'm saying? So,
Well,
but it is no longer that. And let's get back to the New York statute.
come on.
This is a great segue. So New York passed this law that required that anybody who had a gun outside the home had to have a special license or permission to carry this weapon. And the Supreme Court overturned it, said it was a violation of 14th Amendment, maybe the Second Amendment. I haven't finished reading that decision yet either. And at first, I first blush, I was like, "Oh, how dare they?" But then I read an interesting article, and it says the public defenders actually came out against the law because they were saying that this law has been used to primarily lock up black people and brown people in New York. And it wasn't just the person who had the gun. It was the law was so vague that, let's say I picked you up and I had the gun in the trunk
So they taking everybody in the
to
car.
tell everybody in the car. You now, how many times have you rode in my car and said, "Hey, Mike, what you got in the trunk?"
Right.
And you can be charged with felony because even though the weapon wasn't loaded, I have bullets in the car. Like, so I'm transporting the weapon, it's in the trunk, and it's unloaded, but I got weapons in the trunk. Now I'm looking at serious felony. And they were using this law with impunity to
Yes.
lock up black and brown people.
Yes.
So
And I get that because they done the same thing with drugs.
right. And you talking about people coming forward saying, no, that's not his weapon. That's my weapon. He didn't even know I had it in the car.
Right.
And so you looking at 3.5 years, 5 years for something that you didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? So New York, I I hate to say it, but yeah, once I read that, and this is again what we talked about, this is what rational adults do. We read something, we find out more information, and we change our mind on it. You know what I'm saying? That this is a perfect example. Once I read the article and said, "Oh, this is how they were using the law and how they were applying impunity and sticking people in Rikers, which is hell on earth from what everything we know," and you just in the car and you just happen to be in a car that got pulled over or whatever, um, then yeah, I think this was the right decision. You know,
Yeah,
so
but now that you made this decision, Supreme Court, all right, well now you need to change some things up so that it still could be some type of level of possible, I'm stressing that point, safety out there, all right, without um trying to do people how you doing them.
yeah, I mean, I they may look to Illinois if Illinois statute is challenged, but in Illinois, as long as you take the class, you can carry your CCW and you don't have a felony. Um, but that may be challenged. I mean, the question is the Second Amendment an absolute right? Or is there some common sense legislation that can occur that's somewhere between, New York and what they have in Texas, which is open carry? And we leave that to the smarter people and the politicians to decide, but there has to be room for compromise. Like, so yeah, we're gonna require anybody who has a firearm to own insurance, or they have to recertify and things like, yeah, like you have to qualify on your weapon or something like that. Now people say that's an infringement on the Second Amendment, but there are common sense legislations, or you can't bring a weapon into a football stadium, or you can't bring it into court. Like, so I don't know, what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, you can't bring it into public places. I don't know. We'll see. I'll leave that to smarter people than me, both of them, to figure it out.
Yeah, all right. One more thing to touch on, and I know we coming up towards our time. All right, we're gonna touch on the Roe versus Wade real quick. Um, do you feel that, because I mean personally, I feel that all these justices were out of pocket. All right, because you still cannot, even though I understand what people may be feeling on the levels of religious thought, just general thought on what happens to the fetus and so forth. All right, but still, how can uh, how many is it 8 men on the Supreme Court, or is it two female justices or one?
So Amy Coney Barrett, Sonia Meyer, and the other lady. So it's three.
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 Okay.
So 9 - 3. So it's
Oh,
six.
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 It's
Six. Yeah.
six. All right. So in my book, in my
Atlanta cake.
thought,
Cake.
how can six men make a judgment over all the women in the country? You understand what I'm saying?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, it should not. I'm sorry, something like that. You need, if you need to appoint a couple of female justices to even have that thought. But you understand that whole thought process should have been gone because
Why?
I'm sorry.
Why is that shocking?
It's not shocking, but still,
From the beginning
what
of
I'm saying
time.
is that you know, everybody on the left needs to stand up before it happens to say no. We're gonna stop this now.
I mean, you say you're shocked that six men
Well, I'm
who will
not.
never have children, who have are gonna tell other women, and I'm like,
You don't have the right. Is what I'm saying.
but A, I agree with that, but B, men have been trying to do that from the
And
beginning of time. Like men have always tried to control women's bodies, either for profit or pleasure, and to control their sexuality. So
correct.
that is nothing new.
Right.
The fact is that you had a woman on the court make a religious decision or a political decision to join in with the six men. So
Yeah.
that is a little shocking. It's like, okay, how do you feel about that? Like, but there have all, I mean, Christianity was based on that, woman, obey thy man, you know what I'm saying? And,
Correct.
all of that stuff. So it's not shocking. What for me, the problem is, as someone who works in the legal field, is just how the court deviated from stare decisis. Precedent is always what controls a court. Like, when I argue cases or whatever, it's based on previous decisions where I think the facts align that are very similar to my case.
Right.
That's what you're taught in law school, how to, argue cases and stuff. You find some cases of similar fact and merit, and you try to argue and say that the facts of this case are similar to my case, and therefore the court ruled this, and therefore you should rule this. That's what it was. And that's why I say this decision to me was a little shocking. And again, don't hold my feet to the fire. Haven't read the whole decision yet. I think it's 170 pages. Um, the whole decision, not just the decision, because you got to
Okay.
remember, uh, there was six justices, but some, I think Clarence Thomas wrote the major decision. No, he wrote a concurring decision. I can't remember who wrote the main decision. So there's one main decision with several concurring decisions, and then there's the dissent by the three justices. So I say all I had to say, that was what's shocking, and it's the first time the court has taken away a right. Like they have shrunken a right. You got to remember, Dred Scott, Plessy versus Ferguson, all of those were just, they didn't curtail rights, they just interpreted the rights in a way that didn't expand it. And then you get Griswold, you get Brown v versus Board of Education, Lawrence v Texas. These were all cases that were expansion of rights. This is the first time the court has looked at something and said, oh, hey, that right that you have, that we said that you should have had for the last 50 years, yeah, we're going to take that away. That is highly unusual in the court's history, and so that's the decision over 50 years too. Like this decision has stood for over 50 years. And you got to remember, abortion didn't become a political issue until Jerry Falwell made it an issue.
I remember that.
Jerry Falwell in the 80s made an issue.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't this uproar that we think it was when the Roe versus decision was passed. It was like, oh, okay. It was more like, oh, okay, we got it. We're going to go with it. It was only when they made it a political issue as a way of galvanizing the right, again, for the power, the sake of gathering power, for the sake of gathering power, that has become the hot button topic that it was. And we've always asked justices, and all of them said Roe versus Wade is settled law. It's settled law. It's settled law. It's settled law. But we knew, anytime you got to ask judges if it's settled law, you need to codify it as a law. And the Democrats just refused to do that, to ensure equal rights to services and things like that, women's services. And right now, Illinois will probably be flooded because the closest place that a woman seeking abortion in Mississippi can come to get an abortion is Illinois.
Yeah.
And so, and people want to talk about adoption and all of this stuff. We don't take care of the kids we got now. We don't take care of the kids we got in foster care now. We don't provide maternity leave. Remember, I told you on this show a couple of years ago that you only provide 6 weeks of maternity leave, but it's considered cruelty to an animal if you separate baby puppies from their mother before 10 weeks. So dogs got more rights for the holding on to their puppies than I can get time off. We don't even have paid time off.
True. True.
We don't have access to universal daycare. We want to we care about the child as long as it's between the vulva. Now, once the head come out from the vulva, we're done.
Yeah.
That's the only time we care about black babies.
Yes.
Is once that head come out from the vulva, we done. You know what I'm saying? Because if it was about all of that, we would have these things in place. We would have access to daycare. We would provide access to early child start, and these types of things, early nutrition, these things that we know improve the quality of lives. We will have a basic income for families, like, hey, there's a new child. And people want to say that, oh, well, I don't have children. Why should I pay for them because they don't? Well, you know what? I don't always have a fire either in my house, but it's a basic right. And I don't ask the people who have a fire to pay extra money. We all pay the same taxes. The fact is that as a society, there are things that one party is going to benefit from that another party hasn't. That's just the way it is in any given society. So we got to get over that. Oh, it's not fair. It's not right. No, there's fair and there's equity. So yes, we know as a whole that if we provide universal basic income, we provide those things that raise, infant mortality rates and things like that, and take care of those things, we are a better society. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't get food stamps, but I don't complain about the people who do.
No.
Because I think that's right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't complain about people who get subsidies for, having to stay in an apartment, whatever. I have been blessed and fortunate enough, to not have to do that.
Right.
There are people who are not, but I don't think they should be homeless.
Right. They got a roof over their head, and they trying to live and do right. So,
and here's the thing:
should be no issue.
The fact that they got a roof over their head means they ain't coming for mine.
There you go. There you go. So, any final words, real quick, bro?
No. I do, again, like I said, I didn't check the Facebook page out, but again, my challenge this week, I know with a lot of negativity going on, first and foremost, use your righteous anger and indignation for action. Don't give in to hopelessness. We cannot despair. Despair is the last emotion of people who have given up hope, and we cannot give up hope. You got to continue to fight. The fact is that the fight is on now. We knew it was coming, and now we have to get off our laurels and do something. So that's first and foremost. And second, as I said, continue to go on our Facebook page, Elevated Vibes. Check us out, and make sure you leave stories of positivity. Those really uplift me. We're all going through our challenges and storms, but tell me how you survived the storm and how you came out of it. You remember my goal last week was to tell yourself, something that you like about yourself every day. Be your own best cheerleader for the week. And I'm gonna continue that goal this week. That should be our goal for the summer. It's a great summer so far. Find something that uplifts you. And like I said, sometimes the storm you're going through is not the storm for you. It's because eyes are watching you, and you will be a model to someone else. So keep it up. Stay elevated. Stay positive. Stay on the path. Remember that the struggle does not come to defy us. It comes to define us.
All right. Now, here's my take with everything. Number one, like we said, we need to fight the right. The right has drawn a line in the sand. All right. They shown what they're going to do, and they do not care. They do
now
not.
You on my page.
Hold
now
on,
you
hold
on
on,
my page.
hold on. They do not care about our feelings, our ways, our needs. They do not care. All right. So just as we may stand in line for the brand new kicks that's coming out, or we stand in line, this definitely happens. Apple comes out with a brand new phone. There's a line 2 miles long for a phone. All right. We need to stand together, stand with one another. If you have to put your phone down and talk to one another, all right. We stand together, stand with one another. We make a plan, we build, all right. Build our way, our plan, our map to fight the right back to where they should be. All right. And many of them been hiding under the rug for years. Put them back under that rug. All right. That is what we need to do. And last but not least, as I'll usually always say every week, let's not just strive to be famous amongst men. Let's strive to be famous amongst those of a higher level. This is Elevated Vibes. We will check y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.